Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Levels, where, of course, we bring you live fight interviews each and every single week. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host and the superstar, the Sportsnista, Cassandra Cusino. Cece, how are you?
Hey, I'm really good. I'm super tired, but I'm actually I feel good. Yeah,
But
I
you're
don't know.
smiling. You look happy and
Yeah,
energetic. That's all that
I just
matters,
had
right?
an actually the little boy had his first sports interview. So yeah, he
There you
wants
go.
to try this sports journalism thing out. So yeah,
Oh,
that
I
was
thought I
fun.
thought I thought you meant he was getting intervied. No, he's going to be a
Yeah,
sports
he
journalist
was.
just like mom.
I had no. It surprised me.
Well, there you go. Well, it's going to be a surprise for everyone. We have a really fun show lined up today. Uh, we,
Mhm.
how I think she described herself best right after her fight, her victory over Paige VanZant. She's more than a person, right? She's a feeling. That's a force of nature, and
That's
that's
right.
really, I mean, that fits in with everything that we've been chatting about the last few weeks, having Clarissa Shields on, Micaiah Mayer, and so many of these great females that are making noise in combat sports. That's how we deal with. Hey, welcome to Levels. We deal with combat sports, but it's all the ladies that are doing things in these otherwise male-driven sports arenas, and Britain Hart is a person that is quickly, very very quickly making a name for herself in a very unlikely arena. CC.
Yeah, she's on a three-fight win streak. Britain Hart is, and just has a really unique backstory. And as that fight was being built up between her and Paige VanZant, like I just kept like my ear kept getting closer and closer and closer, and I was like, man, she's got an incredible story and an incredible will. So super excited.
All right,
Had to
let's stop
stop her.
messing around. Let's stop messing around, man. She is taking time out of her schedule. She's in Puerto Rico right now. There she is,
Hey.
Britain Hart. Britain, how are you?
Oh, guys, I'm so great. I'm so pumped. I know you saying Wednesday, it's hump day, but let's
Let's go.
go. I'm in Puerto Rico right now. I'm actually not in fight camp, but I feel like I'm in fight camp. So so I'm putting myself in the feeling again, being with somebody else who's a BKFC fighter. So I'm in his fight camp and I'm kind of just helping and participate, and it's amazing. So I'm just super happy. I'm definitely all about BKFC and being immersed in that, and just this amazing opportunity and door and window that I've opened with this sport, and that this sport has opened for me. So I'm doing great. So how are you guys?
Doing wonderful. We're so very excited to have you. Let me open with this. I mean, you talk about being not in necessarily your fight camp, but in another bare knuckle fighters fight camp and everything. Coming from the worlds of mixed martial arts and boxing, I know what those fight camps look like. What does a bare knuckle fight camp look like for you and other athletes in your sport?
Right. Yeah. So honestly, this has been a really good growing experience for me to see another bare knuckle fighter in his fight camp. And his fight camp is no joke. So I'm not going to give away anything out of respect for him. But we go, bare knuckle is the most purest form of combat sports. You're using these. So there's a lot to take in consideration with that. It's a relatively new sport as far as in America goes, in the United States. So kind of adopting those techniques and working them into practice is kind of a new thing. But I think that the ones that are successful are kind of starting to figure it out. So it's really cool to see how bare knuckle boxing and fighting is completely a different sport from boxing and MMA. So you take boxers and you take MMA fighters, but when you put them in the ring, I mean, it's definitely a new world for both. But for me, I know in fight camps it's been a little bit different for me each time. But I know how I do like to do it. I like to run in the morning and do cardio, and then take a break, and then go into either like strength and conditioning or technical skills, take a break, and then of course, sparring is 2 or 3 times a week. So it's just being busy. It's all about, really, to have a successful fight camp, it's being as busy as possible, and busy meaning you know, even like yoga, meditating, mental
Mm.
coaching, like all those things are so relevant. People think that fight camp is just about physical, but it's very much about being spiritual and mentally sound and fit too, which I think a lot of people don't really realize and get. And that's kind of going into my it's a feeling, and the feeling of getting ready for a fight and training. You have to feel it and hear and really believe in yourself to do something as crazy as bare knuckle fighting.
Yeah. Well, you have been described as a natural born athlete. You were very active while you were in high school, but you didn't grow up entirely in the United States, right? Where did you grow up mostly?
I actually, so a little backstory. I was born in Utah, and then when I was 3, I moved to Turkey, and I lived in Turkey for a couple years, and then I lived in Germany for 5 years. So I didn't come back to the United States till I was 10. So I feel like I was already kind of molded as a different individual, from being immersed in different cultures and growing up. I think honestly for children, the ages between 5 and 10 are the most, those are the years you soak everything up. Like I feel like your personality kind of comes from those
Mm-hmm.
years. So I think that's kind of what a lot of people see. And I know that I'm a little different and unique and kind of be out there sometimes, but I do actually credit a lot of that to my childhood and growing up overseas. Because it's very easy for me to adapt to situations. That's why it was so easy for me to transition into boxing and then transition from boxing into bare knuckle fighting, because I've been through it my whole life. I've been through major ups. I've had some great things happen to me, and I've had some major downs and bad things happen to me. But the key is to adapting, and I think that's completely relevant in fighting. But yeah, I've
No.
here, but
You're
now
kind
I'm
of,
out.
oh,
Sorry, somebody called me.
Okay,
oh.
all right.
We're busy.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, dang it.
No, but that was good. That was a good lead into questions about. I mean, your ascent. I mean, you could almost argue, a few months ago, maybe you were flying under the radar still. I mean, you had your career in boxing, and you of course had some brawls in bare knuckle, man. Some entirely entertaining fights in bare knuckle. But this welcoming of Paige VanZant into a new sport was really the thing that for a lot of casual fans put you on the map with them. So now with a little bit of distance between your victory over Paige VanZant and where you are now and everything else, how big of a moment was that for you personally and professionally?
I mean, it was huge. I don't want to say it's the biggest or the most huge thing that's going to happen in my life, because I do really
Sure,
believe that there's
absolutely.
bigger and better things. But at the moment, I mean, it really just solidifies everything that I've been preaching about and speaking and dreaming. I have this dream, and I was going to be somebody and be somebody big in fighting. And when I first started in fighting, I started in boxing, and, they said that I would change female sports. And they told me that in the beginning, but they fed me to the wolves. I learned the politics of it. I had a lot of criticism, that I didn't have amateur experience. Just a lot of things, just learning, like basically learning as I went. But I said I wasn't going to give up and I wasn't going to quit, and that I knew this was my why, and I knew that I belonged here. Um, so going into these big fights, I took big fights against big names, because I kind of had the mentality to be a champion. You have to beat a champion. I didn't ask for shortcuts. I didn't get padded records, or anything like that. So I kind of just went straight for it. And I kind of, I always came up like a little bit short, but I learned from it and I grew, and I kept with it, and I kept saying, it's kind of sounds cliche, but, it goes into mental coaching again. I kept repeating to myself, it's not over until I win. And win big, not win, these little rinky dink club shows that are great. But I mean, I really want to be on that platform and win a big moment. I really want to get a belt and a title and things like that. In the Paige VanZant fight wasn't a title, but I think it was the wake up call that I needed and that the world needed to see that I'm serious and that I'm here to stay and I'm here to work at it, as hard as I can. And, I really hope people see that, and it kind of inspires and motivates other people that, it's never too late to be who you want to be, whatever road that is. And for me, I mean, I was
Yeah.
always into sports, like you said earlier. So, but in sports, I was always very competitive, and I was a fighter. Even though it was soccer and basketball, I still had, several incidents where I fought on the field. So it was just kind of meant to be in destiny. So, now that I get to do it and not get in trouble and not be suspended or go to jail is a really great thing. So it's kind of like, if you're good at something, don't do it for free, right?
Yeah. Do you feel like along the way the L's in your record were more about learning instead of losses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of, and people will say mean things and call me like a mediocre boxer. But really, I think you got to look at who I fought on my box rec. Those draws, I really feel like they were in their hometown. And I feel like the draw was, kind of not, it was their way of not dissing their hometown fighter. I feel like one loss I was, definitely robbed of. If you watch it, there's like, 3,000 comments on it, all saying that it was highway robbery. But a lot of them too, it's hard to find females in like you said, females are doing big things in combat sports right now. But 4 years ago, it really has really escalated a lot here in the last 2 years. But at first, I had so many fights at 115 and 116 and 118, and they fell through. Like this one girl had a panic attack, just all these crazy things, and these fights weren't coming through. So I wanted to fight. So for me to fight, I had to fight out of my weight class. So I walk around like 120. So I'm fighting at 125. A couple of my fights on box rec are at 130 and 135. And, it was an obstacle, but I wasn't going to let it get in my way of my dream. If I have to fight bigger girls to prove I can fight, I have to find a way around it. And, I think that's kind of the chance. And I'm a high risk taker, as everyone can tell. I like to roll the dice. And I have rolled the dice, and, sometimes it didn't work out for me, but nonetheless, I always learned from it. I always became a better person after it. I would always joke and say, hey, I'm coming to your hometown, but I'm going to leave with your fans, because again, fans love me. I like talking to them and being a part of whatever their culture is, or wherever, their state is, and their lifestyle. Like, I like learning about it. I take an interest in other people. And then I'm an exciting fighter, even when I lose, which I think I've got that all out of me. I'm on a win streak, so I finally put it together. But even in the losses, I think people were really impressed with me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're on a 3-fight win streak. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, and and like I alluded to earlier, now you have the reputation now of being this exciting fighter, and yes, you haven't captured a belt yet in bare knuckle, but I mean, you part of the main event of Knuckle Mania, a huge pay-per-view that coming in, most people saw you as the B-side, but then you put your thing down, you put that 2-piece and a biscuit on it, and all of a sudden now you're the A-side, and now girls are circling back around going, I need to fight her again, or now I need to come to her and everything. Now you're the exciting fighter. I mean, out of all the accomplishments and everything, you're just getting started. I know you just started just a couple of years ago, which is crazy. That blows my mind. You just kind of walked into it like, hey, I'm just gonna be a boxer, But I mean, did you ever see yourself as being just that exciting fighter, that must-see fighter that's going to be in? And so I'm going to go and predict it now. In so many main events going forward, no matter what career path you take, whether it's boxing or bare knuckle or a little bit of both.
Yeah, honestly, I tell everybody the same thing, and it's really that it's very true and a real feeling. But my first pro fight, I literally I describe it as Cinderella. It was like the shoe fit. It was the glass slipper, and it was like bam. Nothing in my past and nothing really in my future mattered besides doing this the right way and going all the way with it. But prior to my first professional fight, no, I didn't. Boxing was kind of a way, and fighting, I don't want to say to punish myself, but I was going through a really hard time, and I needed a place, kind of to be an escape from reality. So I really wasn't thinking that I was going to turn professional. It was only, there was this girl in the gym, her name was Moose. And I remember my 4th day in the gym, they said I had to spar her. And I was like, ugh, this is going to hurt. This girl is chiseled. Her nickname is Moose. So you can only imagine what she looks like. So I go in there. It was like after we fought, they all thought I was lying. They were like, "Oh no, you've had to be boxer before. You had to be like working in gym." You know, I had my poker face on, but I was like, "No, this is really just me and who I am." So it was kind of like that experience and trying it that showed me. But you know, I'm a very different person as far as you know, what my goals were as far as right now versus 8 years ago, you know, when I was first starting my family and had kids. You know, I went to school, I got my master's degree, you know, and it's crazy actually. I always knew I was going to be in professional sports. Like I've already worked for the NFL, I've worked for NASCAR, you know, so professional sports is legitly my passion and love. And I really thought the NFL was going to be it, but I had no idea it was going to be boxing and now bare knuckle. But, you know, again, you know, everything in life, not to sound too cliche, but it happens for a reason. And this truly was my reason.
What were you doing for NFL and NASCAR?
Yeah, so for the NFL, I worked specifically for the Carolina Panthers down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I worked for guest relations, and more specifically, I helped with the American Disability Act. So it makes sure that fans have the same viewing experience, regardless of their handicap. So if they can't see, or you know, say that their knees messed up and they can't walk up all the stairs, we make sure that their experience is just as great as a normal regular fan. So me and one other girl were like the main people in charge of that. And so it was a really special role. I did it for 5 years, and I have a lot of amazing people there that have my back and order my fights, and they're so great. So I love them. And I actually quit that job. I can't believe I quit it, but I quit it for the Beck Rawlings fight because, you know, everyone was like, these top elite athletes, they train morning, afternoon, evening. And I was going to work and busting my ass and had to be there for long hours and then train. And I just told them, like, you know, this is it for me. I have to quit to, you know, I thought I was going to beat Beck Rawlings, honestly. And I still kind of feel like I did, but you know, anyway, so I quit that job. And then for, NASCAR, I worked again at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I did corporate sales there. So more so working with the luxury box and suites and stuff like that. And kind of, I had some really cool, fun jobs for that. Like, you know, I would drive people around and give them like golf cart trips from, you know, the pit suites back up to their parking lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, I actually had Duck Dynasty. I had to give them rides, and, you know, I met the people from Counting Cars. So, you know, I've had that experience with people in that type of limelight. And so I kind of think that was an experience for me to grow and be the person, you know, that I am today. So I was very thankful for those two experiences.
Just, I mean,
You are
you're,
to me the epitome
yeah,
of fight
go
what you
ahead.
want.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, I mean, she's
really,
the epitome of fight for what you want.
Right.
No
I
matter
mean,
what.
you know, the ability, and I think that's lost on a lot of people, especially if they, maybe just fans or whatever, but to give up the good for a chance at the great, you know, and the things that are really pushing you and your passions and everything else. That right there, I mean, win, lose, or draw, that takes so much courage to do, because, you know, take all that away, you work in NASCAR, work in the NFL, you know, those career paths. I mean, that could be a very lucrative path for a lot of people. And a lot of people do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, for, you know, whatever reason, whatever makes you tick, you decided, you know what, if I'm going to really pursue this out here, if that's you know, Beck Rawlings does it this way, the professional fighters do it this way, I'm going to go do it that way.
Yeah.
That takes so much guts and so much. I mean, when you approached your family and said, all right, here's the deal, I'm going to leave this and I'm going to go get punched in the face and I'm going to punch other people in the face, what was the initial reaction?
Oh, they were so mad at me. So mad. They were like, I can't. And you know what's ironic is I had, you know, my master's degree, I had to write a thesis. So the whole thing with my family, with my master's, is that my thesis was on NFL concussions. So they're like, you're an idiot. How are you going to do your thesis on concussions and then go into a sport like boxing and bare knuckle? And I just was like, well, I did my research on it, so I know what I'm getting into. It's not like I don't. And they were so mad. You know, no one really got it. It took me about 2 solid years of failing and getting by and living out of my car and doing all these crazy things. It took 2 years for them to finally say, wow, we are proud of you, and you're really doing something with this, and we support you 100%. So now I don't get any kickback from any family or friends, but when it first started, they just couldn't understand and relate to why would you give up a good job and all these great things? Why would you give that up for boxing and fight and getting punched in the face, basically? But I think, I stayed with it, and I stayed true to myself.
How
And
old
now
are your
they
kids?
see why. 11 and 7.
So they're at an age
you're
where they really recognize what you do for a living.
They do. Yeah, they do. And they're amazing. They're so amazing. I've told a lot of people this story, but especially, my son is amazing. He cheers me on, but my daughter has been, she's really been my backbone in making me feel secure as a mother in what I'm doing. I've gone to the gym before, and she agreed to spar. And, as a mom and as a parent, that's like the proudest moment you can have, is when you see your child participate in sports, and especially a sport you love. So my daughter went to go spar for the first time against this other 6-year-old girl who I work with in the gym all the time. Well, this little girl who's not mine, she's like, "Hey, Coach Britain, will you spar me?" And instantly my high goes really low. I'm like, ah. So I got down on, on my daughter's eye level, and I said, "Look, Paris," I said, "I love you, and I'm so proud of you. This little girl's in the gym every day, and you're only here sometimes. If I cornered you, it wouldn't really be fair, and I would be playing favorites." And I didn't even have to finish my speech. She said, "Oh no, it's okay, mommy. Go, you can go corner her." At 6 years old, my daughter said, "It's okay, go corner her." She understood and got it. And they went in, and they were a fan. It was amazing. It was actually really great sparring for 6-year-old girls, but they were awesome. But it's just things like that. And she's been with me. She can hold pads. She coaches just as well as I can, in my opinion. She tells people go harder, and body shots. So she's really immersed in it. But she knows at the end of the day, I give her the option. Do you want to come to the gym, or you want to stay home? So she has, she doesn't feel like she's pressured to do something just because I love it. And we get that about each other. And, she supports me and gives me good feedback all the time. So I feel awesome as a mother.
That is, I mean, so incredibly impressive. I mean, not only a mom with 2 young kids, but also, I mean, master's degree. I mean, just even that, just by itself, bravo to you. I mean, because even a master's degree, Jesus, the sacrifices people have to make to do a master's degree. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, because that was before the boxing career and everything, but I mean, just the passion to go out and say, "Hey, I'm going to get the master's degree," and then you get the master's degree, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Yeah, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go do this, man." It's incredible. Tell us a little bit of that build up there.
Yeah. So when I got my bachelor's degree, I got it in sport management, and I actually, not bragging, but just saying what it is, I got a 4.0. And so obviously I loved what I was doing. I was working 3 jobs and being a mom, and I'm still getting a 4.0. Like, this was my calling.
Damn.
I love sports. So after I got my bachelor's, I just, again, being the fighter and the competitive person I am, I'm like, man, if I did so good and I was able to get my bachelor's degree with a 4.0, I should probably continue my education so I can be so competitive and beat all the males that are coming into this. Sport management is probably, most people would think it's a male dominated career path. So as a female, I need to edge myself up against other people, and especially male figures. So I'm going to go get my master's. So I decided to get my master's in sport management, and and a concentration in physical education. And it was actually, so this will kind of help, like, with the interview, and understand on why I'm in boxing and fighting now. When I graduated with my master's, it was literally, I had worked so hard to get that. And I mean, I'm talking, I never hung out with friends, I never went out, I never did anything besides work, kids, and my schoolwork. So when I graduated, I actually ended up going out to a bar, and I had a few drinks, and I got arrested for a DUI. And because I got arrested for a DUI, everything went boom. So it's kind of like, again, everything happens for a reason. Because if I didn't, to be honest with you guys, if I didn't get that DUI, I don't.
Oh, you got another phone call?
Sorry, guys. But
It's all right.
I hate when you ignore a call and they call you back. But
Yeah.
anyways, what was this? So
Oh,
if I didn't get in trouble, I probably would have never boxed. I would have stayed with my job and been very competitive in sport management. So it was only getting in trouble that again, led me to like some other things, and nobody would hire me, as far as bigger jobs and up the pay scale. So I just decided, that hey, I'm going to box and find my way here because I had just graduated from school.
right. That's incredible. I mean, it's just incredible. You seem like the type of person. I mean this with all respect, but you go swimming right after you eat. If the door says "Do not enter," you push it open anyway. You just It just seems that's kind of how you operate, and that is. Oh wait, did we lose you? Oh, we might have lost her here for a second.
In Puerto Rico, so I
right.
before
I there she
sorry
is.
guys,
No.
close to the water.
I can't hear you though.
Oh, did we lose you? Can you not hear us?
There's a little bit of a delay.
Try going out real quick and coming right back in using that Harley. All right, so we'll get her back. She's in Puerto Rico, and and it's that time of day here in Vegas too, where everyone's logging on to watch Bridgerton or whatever people do. So, but I mean, that right there, I mean, incredibly, just what an amazing story. 3 jobs, 2 kids.
Story. It's cinematic actually in scope, like how it is, like being an athlete, getting in trouble, getting 2 degrees. You got a bachelor's and a master's, and that goes left.
All right.
There
Sorry.
There we are.
Yeah. We're just talking about when we ignore your phone call the first time, it means don't call back.
Stop calling back.
Stop calling, but sorry, guys. But anyway,
no.
So the folks at PFL, I'm sure they love you now.
Right. Well, that's a good way. That's a positive. See, so yes, we keep it positive.
I'm sure. So the folks at Bare Knuckle Fighting, I think they understand now they have a superstar on their hands. What's the next fight going to look like for you?
Yeah, so, I've really been taking this time after the Paige fight to kind of reflect on it. It was definitely a lot of emotions and a lot of things that happened. And then I kind of had something dawn on me that, I feel like if anyone's going to come in the ring and challenge me, it doesn't matter who they are. Again, challenge accepted. I'm one of the toughest, strongest, just climbing up the ladder fighter. So if you're going to come into the ring with me and face me on my fight night, I just think they have another thing coming to you. So, with Paige, when I did call her out, so, she came in the ring and she said, hey, it looks like an easy fight. It was done. And then when I had my fight there, I had this other girl come in the ring, and I don't even know what her deal was coming in the ring. But, I think that I just need to show people.
Who do you think she was? Did you recognize her?
I didn't recognize her, actually, because she kind of looked like she was dressed up for Halloween. But so I was kind of weird. I was like, what is this? Is like, like you're playing dress up. And then I realized it was Jenny Savage. And when I realized it was Jenny Savage, I was like, ow. So I just, helped her cool off a little bit because she had some steam on her. But, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, at first I could care less about Jenny Savage again. I thought she was dressed up as some Halloween character. But, thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I don't care who it is. If you're UFC, if you're off the street, you know what? In the fight, I preach that when we're in the ring, we're on equal playing fields. It doesn't matter what the background is that we come from. Because again, I've told you mine. It's completely different from other people. But, Bare Knuckle is about, putting us on an equal playing field and being very, level-headed about that. I think that, this girl that come in here and thinks that she can do what I do, and she thinks that she can come in on a moment like that, I just think that that's kind of like mentally unstable. So I just think I need to teach her a lesson. So that's what's next. So I have that in mind. So practicing for that overhand right and overhand left that, is basically the only thing she's going to throw. So ready for that.
There you go. Well, I have one more, and then I'm going to let Cece close it out with you and everything. But uh, given that bare knuckle is still pretty brand new here, like you said earlier in the United States, and just now getting that wider appeal and everything, and that wider exposure through pay-per-view and all of that, a lot of people may not know. So can you do your best to describe that feeling whenever the refs is looking at both of you guys and saying, "Hey, and you walk up and you toe the line"? Can you describe that feeling for people who are just now seeing the sport?
Absolutely. It is intense. It is an intense feeling. Like, think about like when you're going to jump out of an airplane and skydive, or off a high diving board, or you're going cliff diving and you're right on the edge. You don't really have that like running jump or space. It's like you're right there and you have to jump. You have to go for it. In boxing, you start at different corners, and MMA, you start at different sides of the cage. So you can kind of like work your way up to it. In bare knuckle, you're toe to toe, like you're toeing the line. You're right there. You're literally within, inches from your opponent who wants to hurt you. So it is a very intense, feeling. It really, I describe it as jumping off a really small little ledge. So you just have to know that you're going to jump. You have to have that in your heart. You don't have to, you can't think about it. You can't be like, oh, I need a 1, 2, 3 running start. It's jump. So that's the feeling, and it's different. It's way different, there's no other sport that's like it, that's from start to finish just so high intensity. You only have 2 minutes to do what you got to do. You only have 5 rounds. I love that about BKFC, because male and female, it's the same. And the same thing with this whole, championship type of mentality. Like, oh, well, certain rounds are 4, some are 8 rounders, and they're like, always you hear fighters say, oh, if I would have had one more round, I would have done something. It's like, no, you have 5 rounds. You have 5 rounds to do what you need to do, and you got to do it. And so I think that makes the sport super exciting. I think it makes it super fair and even. And I think that males and females are put on the same playing field once again. So I love that aspect. I love everything about it.
Well, of course, people were talking about how you left the ring after the VanZant fight, and when you said, "I'm not even a person, I'm a feeling." Have you had a chance to kind of reflect on that, and what do you want people to really know what that means for you?
Yeah. So I definitely meant it 100%. I probably could have, came out verbally better with it, but again,
I think it came out like
I think it came out perfect.
Okay, good. I know a lot of people are like, man, that girl. And again, we joke about it all the time. If you know me, if you take the time to talk to me, like you would know that's just a Britain thing. You'd be like, man, that's so classic of Britain. We know what she means by it. But it's basically, again, it's just when I talk to people and interact with people, I just feel like the things that really keep me going are when people say, you motivate me, you inspire me, you don't ever give up, you're tough. And it's just, all these things aren't really they aren't people. They're not like, oh wow, you're Britain Hart, you're cool, you're Britain Hart, you're like Paige VanZant, you're like Ronda Rousey, like we don't, those are all people, and you relate to those type of people because that's who they are. But then it's like, what about the feeling of being determined and not quitting, and just being good and being a really good person. Sometimes you leave at the end of the day with that type of feeling that you want to be like that, and sometimes it puts it more in a realistic point of view when you can relate to a person like that, instead of somebody like Paige VanZant, who has millions of followers and probably millions of dollars and lives a completely different lifestyle. So I think it kind of was one of those things that I kept falling short, with my fights. But, everyone was like, you don't have to prove anything to anybody, Britain. You've already proved how tough you are. But it wasn't about me. I don't care. I know how tough I am and I know how good I am, but it wasn't about me. It's about all these other people that are watching me and saying that I motivate them and inspire them, and how awesome of a person I am. And I want that to be true. I want them to know when they get that feeling and when they're around me, it's not misguided or misleading, and that they're really believing in something that's bigger than just a name, which is ultimately what I meant by I'm not a person. I really meant like I'm not a net, I am a person, but I'm not a name. So it kind of came out kind of funny, but I don't want to be remembered as, oh, Britain Hart was this, and that. I really want to remember like, hey, when I was around her, she was a real down to earth person. Britain, inspired me to fight, or, even guys like message me and they say, you motivated me to lose weight. I was 300 pounds and now I'm down to 250. I get messages like that all the time. It's not even that they're fighting. They're just motivated to lose weight. Or again, maybe they're working a 9-to-5 job and they hate it and they're miserable. And they're like, man, I want to feel like Britain Hart and be like that and just quit my job and do something that I love. Yeah, it's going to be hard, but hey, if I really love it, it beats being miserable working 9-to-5, going home and barely not wanting to do anything. So anyways, I could go on and on about it. There's tons of feelings in the world, and it's great to kind of to be one of them. And that's really what I want to give to other people. I really do. At the end of the day, I want to be the best fighter I can, but I want to motivate, and I really do still believe in changing the world, and that we don't have to fit certain stereotypes to be successful and be who we want to be.
Listen, get all the merch up, trademark that shit. Like, I want it everywhere, on cup mugs, on t-shirts, on hoodies, on gloves, everywhere. Be a feeling.
I know. We finally got the t-shirt, so the t-shirt is out.
All right.
So you guys can definitely order the t-shirt through Just Heart Apparel.
Where?
Just Heart
It's
Apparel.
at Just Heart Apparel. Mm-hmm. It's a nice t-shirt too. They did a great job, so I love it. It looks awesome. And it's not too much, but you get the point. And so I think it's cool. The shirt is awesome. But I like how you're going with the stickers and the coffee mug, and I think it's still kind of setting in my brain. But I'm like, it's
even for like little girls on journals, like be a feeling, like, I love it. I really, really love it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Britain Hart, we want to thank you so much for your time. We know you're in Puerto Rico doing your thing, so we appreciate it, and we cannot wait to see what is next, because if this little bit has been any indication, then you're going to be putting some feelings on someone very, very soon, and we cannot wait to see what's next. Before we go, if people want to follow you online, or if they want to, be a part of the, I don't know, what do we call them? The Heart Brigade? I don't know. Something like that. Where do they find you?
Yeah. So if you want to be Team Heart and part of the feeling, you can definitely follow me, Facebook. My Instagram is Britain Hart _. I do have a Twitter, at Team Britain Hart. And of course I have my TikTok. So again, at Team Britain Hart. So I'm on those things all the time, still being, basically, me. So I love sharing my life with people and being positive and motivating. So if you want to see that, definitely follow me. That's what I'm here for. I can't wait to fight and be in the ring again. Obviously, that's why I'm out here in Puerto Rico. It's actually not to vacation. When people say vacation all the time, and I'm like, no, I can't. But when I hear fight camp, boom, out the window. So, that's what I came out here for. I heard, some guys were out here fight camp, and that's my type of vacation. So I'm doing what I love out here. So I'm super thankful and blessed to do it. If you follow me on my social medias, you'll be a part of that too. And I can't wait for what's next. So thank you guys. I definitely want to thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely. And I see a bright future, outside of fighting, into, being a sports broadcaster and everything. You have the natural charisma and personality for it. So, get them dollars, girl. Get them dollars. Yeah. Can't wait.
It never stops.
Never stop. Kick them doors open. Keep on doing it. Thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you down the road. We can't wait.
All right. Be
Thank
in touch.
you.
Take care. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Britain Hart.
Awesome.
Wow. An amazing story. And we didn't get into everything. We think it's been well documented at this point, but go back if you have a couple of minutes, Google her, look at her story. She was in an abusive relationship, and, she kept talking about that way out and everything else. And she found that at a boxing gym, and she needed money. So she just became a pro fighter. And then she just has that natural, some people just are built to kick other people's asses, and she is one of them. So
that's, and she kicking the ass of life. She kicking
she doing
life in the ass.
She doing physical asses.
Know who he has. I mean, metaphorical. I mean, but they better know what they have. That woman should be on all posters. Wherever there is bare knuckle fighting championship, she needs to be mentioned.
Yeah. And everything since the Paige VanZant fight, and talk about a turning point, but everything since then, she kind of was given the B side naturally. A lot of people would be pissed off about that, but I mean, Paige VanZant, like she said earlier, I mean, did come in with millions of followers and a name from UFC and modeling and Sports Illustrated and all this other stuff. So she was the ace out of that fight, but Britain Hart didn't lay down. Man, she didn't lay down. She wasn't going to be that sacrificial lamb.
Nope.
And she put that 2-piece on her and kind of served up notice like, hey, I'm here and this is what I'm doing. And really one of the more exciting fighters out there in boxing, MMA, bare knuckle. You got to, you can put some good money on Britain Hart as far as being entertaining and exciting and getting your money's worth. So there you go. There you go.
100% love it. Dang.
Gonna get you fired up. Get you running down a block.
Shit. No kidding. Oh, before we get out of here, did you see Valdez Burchell?
Oh,
what you think?
Oh my God. Oscar Valdez. It was so funny, man. I was the day before, I was actually sitting in the barbershop. Best place to talk fight sometimes, sitting in the barbershop, right?
Yeah.
And all the guys in there, they were doing the weigh-ins. All the guys were very impressed with Burchell's look. He looked like the bigger fighter, was the bigger fighter, rehydrated to something crazy. I forget what the rehydration weight was for Burchell and Valdez and everything, but Valdez fought Valdez fought the perfect freaking fight. Had my man swinging at air and then just, put him down with mercy, I want to say, with that brutal left hand. KO of the year contender right there. But, emphatic win for Oscar Valdez. Yeah.
Just really impressed with that whole game plan. They knew what they had to do, and Oscar stayed disciplined. Burchell had 2 Hawaiian pizzas right after weigh-in, and I was like, see, that just go to show you pineapple don't belong on pizza. And if you want something bad to happen, do that.
You lost because of pineapple on pizza. Come on, man.
And it's so crazy because he just was so outclassed. It almost looked like he didn't even belong in the championship fight. So it's like, what's next for Burchell?
We've seen it before, and we've talked about it a lot, and we've talked with other fighters on here about it. And even Britain Hart just a few minutes ago alluded to the fact that getting your mental right for fights. We've seen world-class fighters come into fights and go, man, he didn't even look like himself. He didn't look like he was ready for this fight. And that was one of those instances. You saw Burchell come in and he didn't look like the killer that the world knew, the boxing world knew and everything. And it kind of served off. But that's not to diminish what Oscar Valdez did. He went out there and he took that belt. He didn't, the refs didn't give it to him. The judges didn't give it to him. He went out there and took that belt. What you need to do, if you go beat a man, you got to beat the man. So he did out there, and he went out there and did his damn thing.
From 1 to 12, well, 1 to 10, actually, yeah.
I mean, from bell to bell, he did his damn thing, man. So hats off to him. And I don't know if you saw, they had the Twitter video or whatever of Top Rank or WBC giving him his new belt. Oscar Valdez, a new belt. I'm doing it, everything out of the briefcase. And just, how much emotion and everything goes into it. Really, if you watch the video, I think it's trending on Twitter, or was earlier today, but really give you goosebumps, man. Talk about a guy who's worked a long time for that green belt.
Dude.
He's a good dude.
Just a really good guy, smart.
Hopefully we'll have him on in the future.
He still got that alligator as a pet, though.
Yeah, he probably does.
Yeah.
A little bit crazy.
What, Ralph Velez, you need to holler at your boy.
Yeah, Ralph Velez there. Yeah, hopefully we'll get Oscar on very soon. Another bit of news that came out today is our guy Jamel Herring his fight with Carl Frampton, which earlier was kind of delayed because of a hand injury to Carl Frampton, has now been given the April 3rd date. They're going to tango again. So this will be Jamel Herring's third title defense. Carl Frampton trying to get him a belt from our guy, but you know what I'm going to put my money on? You know I'm going to put my money on the Marine.
It's not in Belfast. They're not going in Belfast, so they moved the fight again.
Yeah, they moved the fight.
There's an MTK influence behind all of that. But yeah, listen, and he's been handling this whole thing with class. Jamel has, you know, he could have said a lot of things about Frampton and his hands, but did it, you know, it's like, hey, you know, I'm here, I'm gonna be ready. And I love the training videos between him and Terrence Crawford, actually.
There's some fools, man. You know, great stable mates, better friends, and good seeing them having a good time. Because talk about a camp that was hit over COVID. You know, I mean, so many times. How many times we joke about it a lot, but Jamel Herring stayed in camp for the better part of like 3 months or so. He was ready all of 2020 for a fight that never materialized because of COVID. So, you know, but he stays in that life. He's not one of those guys that goes out and balloons up and then has to cut a bunch of weight. He lives the life that he preaches. And, you know, that's what you want to see in your champions, man. And, you know, I'm happy for him. And hopefully it holds. The boxing gods let this fight happen. Otherwise, we may have to go on to something else, man. I don't know. It's like Tony Ferguson and Habib. Else. Tony Ferguson and Habib. Hey, how many times are we going to make this fight, man? I don't know. We got to move on.
Like too many times, too many do-overs. But this one was not a do-over. Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis. How surprised were you?
Surprised? No, it wasn't that surprised. I was more surprised that Curtis Blades didn't go for more takedowns and didn't do exactly what everyone thought he was going to do and wrestle.
Shoot,
Derek Lewis. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because why would you talk about guys not looking the same, right? What was that game plan? Was it the game plan, or did he just have a bad weight cut? And, you know, all that affects brain and, you know, the performance and everything else. Because Curtis,
have a weight cut?
Well, I don't know. I'm just speculating. This is all speculation. Because I don't think the game plan was run into one of the most vicious uppercuts of all time outside of Francis Ngannou. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that was the game plan. So, but Derek Lewis goes into rarefied air, and he is happy to let the heavyweight title picture work itself out between Stipe and Francis and John Jones, who's waiting in the wings, and then he's going to get next. And you know, you talk about a guy, but he also called out Overeem. So he likes to fight, man. Why you
want to beat on the senior citizen of the division? You know, why you got to call out Overeem? 41 years old.
Overeem just got his head handed to him once again, and you will call him out. But hey, man, he wants to fight a legend. They say Overeem's a legend, so he wants to do it. But impressive night of knockouts for Derek Lewis and Oscar Valdez. And a really fun fight was made today, or announced today. Bullet, Valentina Shevchenko will defend her title against Jessica Andrade. Here coming up, and so. What is the exact date for that fight?
April something or another.
April, right? Yeah. But the Bullet is back.
So 17th, perhaps.
That is going to be the
3rd or the 17th.
Yeah, it's one of them. I know that. But
I mean, that's a good fight for Valentina. I mean, in a division where like ain't a whole lot of depth. I mean, she done beat the number one person 3-4 times. So. I like the Andrade fight. We're gonna see, you know, Jessica can make some adjustments in there. Valentina is like perhaps the most technical, dominant fighter I think that you'll ever see in women's MMA.
You know, she's
just got the goods.
Yeah, and with your only losses coming to Amanda Nunes, who is you know bigger and. You know, the greatest of all time, more than likely, she's going to go down as that. that's not it's like saying Daniel Cormier's bad or something, because he lost to John Jones. It's like he's pretty damn good fighter, So but she's also a fan favorite. Bullet is, and Jessica Andrade's kind of rebuilding her brand and her appeal and everything, and is right back in the mix, and could very well take that title away. She's done it before, so we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very, very good main event in April, I think late April. So there you go. And Tyson Fury says he is going to fight 2 times in 2021, whether it's against Anthony Joshua or not. He said he's tired of dealing with it, but it's boxing. So he'll probably fight in December. It's already been a year.
I mean, but yeah. Exactly. It's been exactly a year. February 22nd last year.
Yeah. Since he KO'd Wilder.
He tweeted at somebody. Yep. He was talking about someone not being active, and that's what happens when you're not active. And I'm like, dog, you ain't fought in a year. Like, what you talking about?
My man who got starched. Warrington. Who got starched in the ring by but he hadn't fought in over a year. That's a lot of fighters, and it's a dangerous time to be a long-standing, champion or a fighter coming off a huge layoff, because you haven't been, the training camps haven't been the same. Fighters, especially in a lot of these combat sports, routine. I get up, I eat, I train, I do, and then you don't have anything you're training for, or you're training like Jamel Herring, and all of a sudden 2 weeks out, your fight falls through. Then you're training again, and then 2 weeks out, your fight falls through. And then, that it's been a really difficult year. And that layoff, without a crowd and everything else. I mean, we saw Adrian Broner, I don't know if he should have won that fight, but he won a fight. But, a very suspect fight that he won and everything. So it's up to these guys to stay busy, especially these heavyweight guys. But there's only one heavyweight fight we want to see, and Eddie Hearn knows that, and so he's got everybody by the balls. So we're all just sitting here waiting. So there you go. There you go. So that's our show for the week, or this. For today. Is Ralph are you and Ralph doing a show?
It's possible.
Anything's possible in the world of make-believe.
We are efforting.
Ralph was in Miami doing his normal job, I say normal, with these cats out of Miami, Sucker Punch, doing their thing out there, and getting back to ring announcing. He was doing more posting pictures with ring girls than anything. So you got to talk to him about all that.
Like, you weren't working.
You ain't working. That's why Mike Dixon texts us. Be like, I'm working. And he's got pictures of cheerleaders. You ain't working. Get out of here. There's different levels of work, right? So, all right. Well, we want to say thank you so much to our fans and everyone for commenting. Thank you so much. And thank you to Britain Hart for making time for us again. And thank you, Cece. And we will see you guys, whenever we see you, right? All right, TC Martin?
See you next week.
All right, TC Martin.